Hello everyone. I am so thrilled to be here with you again. Of course, you know me. My name is Catherine Loranger. I'm the host of My Dead Dragon. And I'm really excited about this conversation I'm about to have with Cathy. And Cathy, okay, get this. She's a worm advocate and founder of Cathy's Crawly Composters. And so this environmental business specializes in vermicomposting, and laughter wellness is Cathy's latest offering. And she offers simple solutions for today's challenges, such as worm composting, sprout growing, and laughter yoga. And if you're listening and you're not actually seeing the video, of course the video is always available on YouTube. I would encourage you to hop over and have a look, because Cathy has the best smile. She has the best smile. So super excited to be talking with you. Welcome, Cathy, to My Dead Dragon. And can you start us out by sharing your story?
Thank you, Catherine. I'm excited to be here. Yay. Well, yeah, I didn't always know that nobody was coming to save me. But my parents divorced at 7. Like, when I was thinking about your show topic, I was like, my parents divorced when I was 7. And if I felt like it probably wasn't true, but it felt like I was the only one that didn't have two parents at that time. That was in the 60s.
Mm.
So I kind of, yeah, it was interesting. So my mom was very independent and, worked several jobs to make ends meet and all of those things. And I changed jobs all the time. I didn't even know about being an entrepreneur. It wasn't something it wasn't in my wheelhouse. There was no mentors in my circle. But I changed jobs all the time. Of the 5 occupations that girls were provided at that time, whatever, secretary, teacher, nurse,
Yeah.
waitress, or stewardess. You can't even say that anymore. I was like, okay, I'll be a secretary. And I took all I was a great secretary, but I got bored. I needed variety, and which I think an office worker provides. It does provide a certain amount of stability, or it used to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is different times. Now we're in the gig
Yeah.
economy, right?
Yeah.
But I never understood the idea of getting a job, working hard, staying there, being loyal, and then getting a gold watch when you retire. Why do you need a watch?
Mm-hmm.
Is what I always thought. So I was always a little bit different. And I kind of, when I finished work, I would, because I was a people pleaser as a young girl, right?
Mm.
Be good, be nice, be a good girl.
Yeah.
I was, look the
Yeah.
part, do your job, be quiet, don't cause ripples. Yeah, I was that girl,
Mm.
and I had a great work ethic, and so when I finished high school, my typing teacher, typing, I mean keyboarding, I guess you call it now.
Oh, I took typing class. I took typing class.
It's so beneficial now. Like, thank goodness, what a gift.
Yeah.
Um, yes, she at the end of graduation at grade 12, she would send her 2 favorite students to CP head office,
Mm.
CP Limited,
Yeah.
Canadian Pacific,
Yeah.
for
The
anyone that,
railway.
right? Yeah, hotels, whatever, they're big. So I was like, wow, that was awesome. And I got a job at um, the head office for CP Hotels, because I was,
Mm.
anyway. So anyway, that started my office work journey, and it was fine, except I got bored.
Mm.
And I got bored, and I just changed. And then anyway, so there we go. Yeah. So I've always been knowing that I need to look after my own. And because my parents divorced, I think early on in my life, I must have thought, this isn't what I want. So
Mm.
I've been married for 33 years, and we dated for 9 first. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been together 40 years. And
Wow.
because that's what I wanted.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Cathy, that you identified that you were a people pleaser. Growing up, raised to be that, look a certain way, be the good girl. You've got these 5 choices. And I get this image in my mind of here's you kind of towing the line, but just feeling really like constrained by all of it. And so, was that your experience? First, I want to check that out. I don't want to assume anything.
Well, not really because I didn't know any different.
Ah,
I didn't know the difference. I really didn't know that being an entrepreneur was a choice. So,
okay.
yeah, it's fascinating. I didn't feel like I felt like I wanted to do a good job, and they say it used the expression used to be you have to have a job to get a job. It
Mm,
never made sense to me. How do you get a job when you have a job? Like how many appointments can you have? Like
yeah,
how much do you have to lie to leave your job? Oh, I have to leave early again. Why? Oh, dentist appointment again. Right?
yeah.
Like, so it just felt incongruent. Like but I'm looking for a job, but I'm still doing my good job. Anyway,
Mm,
I got my psych degree after 15 years. It wasn't to get a degree. It
yeah,
was because I enjoyed going at night and meeting the people at night. So I only went to night school.
yeah.
And I graduated in 2000 and got a job at a group home working with challenged adults. Whoo, I thought I had come home. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so great. And then I couldn't work with management.
Mm,
And I came home from work one day and there was an ad in the paper and it said, are you a woman? Do you have a business idea? And I was thinking about this worm composting thing. It just kind of brought it to the fore. I mean, I just thought, we needed it and it was cool and whatever.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and then I had got injured at work. That's what happened. I got injured and there was an ad in the paper and I was like, hey, are you a woman? Do you have a business idea? It was a course to take write a business plan. So I turned to
Mm.
my husband. I said, I'm quitting my job. I'm taking this course. I'm starting a worm business.
Okay. So, how did you go from being a people pleaser to I'm quitting my job, I'm taking this course, I'm starting a worm business?
Okay, so that probably went back to my very first job at CP head office. I was 17. Um, have a late birthday. And I had an upset on the phone and I was crying at my desk and my boss walked past and he said, what's wrong? And I said, nothing. And he said, nobody sits at their desk. Nobody sits and cries for nothing. So he
Mm.
said, grabbed a box of Kleenex and he said, come on into my office. And so because I'm a people pleaser, I go into his office and I was like, I don't want to tell him what happened, like why I'm crying. Anyway, but I'm a people pleaser and he asked me what was wrong. And so I had to tell him. So I
Mm.
spilled. And then the next day I came in and on my desk was Wayne Dyer's Your Erroneous Zones.
Ah.
That's what changed. That was the kernel that changed my life. And at first, it was the old edition where it has Wayne Dyer's big face on it, Your Erroneous Zones, and and I was like, oh great, my boss thinks I'm nuts. But was a people pleaser, so I was like, I got to read the thing now because my boss said, he's going to give me a test or something.
Yeah.
I read the book, and it was like it was like the heavens opened up, and because it was all about the reason I was crying. I had an episode with my dad and it was all about guilt, the transfer, and I
Mm.
was like, oh, nobody can make you feel guilty, you take that on yourself.
Wow.
At 17, that it
At
was huge.
17, and that would have been kind of like early 70s.
Yeah,
So,
late 70s, yeah, late
late
70s.
70s. So,
Yeah,
growing up with this messaging, you've got five choices. You got to be the good girl, you got to please the people, and to have this, like, at 17, this kind of moment where the heavens open up. And so, was it for you then, was it from that point on that you knew, okay, I'm actually and responsible, like not just in the sense that I got to make my own way, but I'm responsible for me and for my happiness, for my fulfillment, that no one else can do that for me, and I'm not responsible to make that happen for someone else.
yes, yeah, it was so big. Oh my gosh, it was just so big, and I really did get the message and I lived it. Yeah, I just really
Wow.
embraced Wayne Dyer's message. It was such a beautiful gift. It was yeah.
So how were you able to live into that? To just was it just kind of like, okay, I was doing it this way, now I'm doing it this way? Was there like steps you took along the way? Were there challenges? How did you really live into and integrate that?
Many, it was a process. It was definitely a big learning. It took a lot of time because it was still the programming that I was living in, still
Mm,
living at home, that girls have to be nice and be quiet and
yeah.
don't rock the boat, and
Yeah.
don't say bad things about people
Yeah.
that are true, but you don't want to wreck their reputation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it really was a process, but I knew, like, early on, I knew that I wanted to travel in Europe. So I took a leave of absence from my job there. I was two years in, and I was like, I want to go travel in Europe. um, and my mom wouldn't let me go on my own, so I was like, okay, I'll just go on a bus trip. And then I met my husband, but he was my boyfriend at the time. He was going to go to university,
Mm,
but he said, okay, I'm rather than go to university, I'm going to travel for in the summer. So we went to Europe for the summer.
mm,
And because I was working at CP, Canadian Pacific, bilingual company, so there
yeah.
was people that would come in, they'd be like, hello, and the other one would be like, oh, bonjour, comment ça va, da da do. And I'm like, oh, that's a skill I want to learn. I want to be
Oh,
bilingual. And so when we
okay.
traveled in Europe, 3 months on this bus trip, I met someone who had been an au pair in France, a nanny.
Mm,
And so I was like, I want to be a nanny. I'm going to go live in
mm.
France and be a nanny and learn French. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And so I did.
That's so fun. I love that. That like I would love to do this, right? This is kind of part of what I coach my clients with is how do you connect to that part of you that is life-giving? How do you connect to that part of you that says like, "Ah, I would love to do this. I would love to learn French. I would love to go and live in France as an au pair." And then do it, because I think so many of us are conditioned when we hear that voice, when we hear that idea that's going to bring us more aliveness, we squash it, right? Like, oh, well, that's not practical. And what about this? And what about that? And so, Kathy, how did you like honor that voice and take action on it?
Yeah, what happened was, okay, so my parents separated at 7. My stepfather moved in right away. I mean, I was 7. I'm like, who's that man? I don't know, but there he
Mm,
is. He was awesome. I loved my stepfather. He lived with us for 14 years. And before I went to France, I was at 21. I went to for my 21st birthday and lived in France. And on the way to the airport, he said, like, why are you going, not on the way, but before, while I was planning, he was like, why are you going away? It's not, our relationship won't be the same when you come back. And I was like, oh no, it will. Of course, we have this bond. Like, we love each other. It's no worries. Um, and I was gone a year. And when I came back, he had brain cancer.
mm.
He was 38. And so I was like,
Oh,
oh my gosh. So that again, and one of those moments where it's like, wow, the good die young. You got to live your life. And for some reason, that was again one of those gifts where he loved his work. I don't know why I attached it to work, but I said, I'm never going to stay in a job that doesn't serve me because we
mm,
spend too much time at work. We
mm,
spend more time with our work family than our home family,
mm.
at least before this time.
Yeah,
So that was another big thing. And I was like, I'm going to live my life because I don't know.
yeah,
I'm maybe only going to go like a little ways. I want to live late, but we
yeah,
don't know. We don't have control over that
yeah,
piece.
yeah.
And he wasn't the same when I came back. He didn't last long
Mm,
after his diagnosis, and thank goodness, right? Like, he didn't linger around.
mhm.
Um, what a gift, anyway. Yeah. Ooh, I got
Yeah.
emotional. Whew.
And what a gift to be able to see it that way for yourself. What a gift to really, because I believe that we interpret, we make meaning out of things that happen to us, and we can make meaning out of those things in a way that serves and supports us, or we can make meaning in a way that actually brings us down. And so choosing to make the meaning in a way that lifts you up, that serves you, that supports you is a mastery level skill.
Yeah, I'm divinely guided. I really do feel like, I
Mm,
guess after reading Wayne Dyer
yeah.
at such a young age, I just really listen. But to answer your question about what do we do with that spark, I say to people, when we get that moment where we go, oh, and we all have them where we're like, oh my gosh, that's a great thing. Like you might like twiddle around like I do, but like we're like, oh my God, that's so great. Either it's a business or a hobby or
Yeah.
something you're going to do, a restaurant you're going to, something. You get all fired up and then you go, oh, I don't have time right now. So we put it
Mm.
on the shelf,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we're so busy. Like there's so many things going on. That little thing gets forgotten.
Yeah.
So what I say to people is that inspired thought was given to you and given to 6 other people at the same time. So
Mm.
down the road, you might be like, that was my idea. Yep, because they took
Mm-hmm.
action. Like when
Mm-hmm.
you get that, you have to take action right away to put it in place so the knows that you're certain. Like
Yeah.
write it down, like don't just have it in your head, put it down on
Yeah.
paper,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then make a picture, whatever, like
Yeah.
something, so you're like, oh, there's that's what I want that.
Yeah. 100 million% absolutely right. Because when we, I think when we just kind of keep it nebulous up there in our head, it hasn't got enough energetic solidity to start to take form. And so when we, like you said, writing it down, creating a visual, a vision board, whatever that is, getting into a structure of accountability or support, because often, and I don't know for you if this is part of your experience, Kathy, when we have that divine inspiration, that download, and we take action, then that's when the fear, right? That's when it shows up, is when we actually take the action. Because if we're not really serious about it, we're just thinking about it, the fear is kind of like, she's not going to do it. But it's when we actually take that step and take that action, then those patterns really kind of come up and try to bring us into the familiar. Was that your experience at all?
Absolutely. Over and over again, I wonder, oh my gosh, I say yes to things. Like they say, I certainly have my boundaries, and, you know, I'm not a people pleaser anymore. Phew.
High five, high five.
Right.
Love that. Whoop, whoop.
um, yeah, it's fascinating. That I can't remember who wrote that book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, because the
Mm,
fear is there. It's
yes.
just to keep you in your box. Like it's, your
Yeah.
ego, that voice in your head is
Yeah.
not your friend ever.
Yeah.
And now, like during this cuckoo time, people are stuck with that friend in their head.
Oh, yes.
Right. So we're getting more
Yeah.
cuckoo. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a tough time. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but because
Yeah.
I know we have so many wonderful solutions.
Hmm. And ways of connecting, right? That are just remarkable. I work with people all over the world and have people like literally all over the world are going to hear this conversation. And so, really, like allowing yourself to feel the power of that you are connected. And so, Kathy, tell me more about the worms, because I am an avid gardener. You would not know this, but my family actually homesteaded for several years in a 100-year-old log cabin on Vancouver Island, on the north end of Vancouver Island. It was a boat access only situation. So we grew our own food, we hunted, we fished, all of that. So I absolutely have an affinity for sustainability and worms and dirt and all of those things. So tell me more about the worms.
Yes, thank you. So it's indoor composting, with special worms, red wigglers. And how that came about, I mean, I started that business. I was in that course 2002, and the landfill for the Greater Toronto Area closed. And we
Mm,
started exporting garbage to the US, a
mm,
1,000 trucks a week.
wow.
Wow, like it was like I don't know, 6 or 7 hour trip to Michigan from Toronto. Like,
Wow.
wow. And not the cute little garbage truck. It just breaks my heart when I think about all of the waste, like the planet, all those
Mm,
trucks, all that exhaust, just
mm-hmm.
wait, shipping around this garbage. That's not garbage, it's a resource.
Yeah.
And if we manage it on site, anyway, I had a solution. So I was like, man, it was just right when I started my, how that came about was when I bought my house, I looked after a teacher's worm bin, and it was a
Mm,
disaster. I had fruit flies, and I was like, I'm never doing
mm-hmm.
this again. But that was
Yeah.
93. That was
Okay.
my first right intro. And I was like, oh no, okay, I'll just buy worm compost. Like there's worm farmers on every corner.
I just had this image of a guy on the street with his trench coat and opening it up and, hey lady, you want some worm compost?
It's good shit.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a solution anyway. So I was like, oh, this will be so great to do this, right? Toronto, 6 million people, half live in
Yeah.
condos, townhouses without space for outdoor composting and before the green bin or organic collection program. And
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so people don't buy what they need, they buy what they want. So it's been a
Mm.
long slog, but I really think you can't go against what you came to do. And I have
Yeah.
to say that I've lived a pretty cool life because of Wayne Dyer and my boss. I had the
Yeah.
boss. When I was reading that book, I was like,
Yeah.
wow, Mr. Matthews could have written this book,
Oh, wow.
right? Because he was that
Divinely
brilliant,
guided. Yeah.
right? He was just so
Wow.
smart. He always knew what to
Yeah.
say, right? He
Yeah.
invited me in his office because I was crying at his desk. Can you imagine? Most men would have been like, nope, okay, good that you're fine.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
that time, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so beautiful. So
Mm.
I've had a pretty cool life, right? I traveled. I traveled for 13 months in Africa and Asia. I
Mm.
really feel like my life began when I started being an entrepreneur, a
Mm.
purpose-filled, heart-centered entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
saving the planet. Like I've diverted several tons from landfill because I got to feed my family, the worms.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Saved shredded paper. Oh my gosh, like I've done so many projects where I've collected grocery store waste and coffee shop waste, and I did manure management projects.
Mm.
It's magic. And now I'm doing school workshops because I was like, how am I going to put
Oh,
worms in
wow.
every house if people are afraid?
Yeah.
Then I'm like, oh, let me do school workshops. And then I said,
Yeah.
oh, now I've got to have 20 years. Now I have to wait 20 years till they have buying powers.
Mm.
2022 is my 20th anniversary,
Oh, I just got God bumps.
right?
Yeah. And how remarkable life is. All the feelings when you are connected and honoring what you came here to do and how you came here to serve and how you came here to bring your gifts and talents.
But we have to stand in our power. And I think it's our job as kind of elders, as older people to show the way. Like there's
Yeah.
no guidance.
Yeah.
There's no mentoring along the way, and our school system's broken. And I'm not saying anything that like a secret. It's broken. It's there's a lot of things that we're not taught.
Mm.
Financial literacy. We're not taught to be entrepreneurs. We're not taught how to be in a relationship and be successful. We're
Yeah.
not taught. We're like, oh, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Oh, I'm leaving because we had a fight. It's like, no, until death do us part. No, I'm not going to
Yeah.
kill you.
Yeah. I've got the worms though, so you know.
We're really not taught how to live a really good life. I feel like we're given
Yeah.
enough so that we're always begging for more. Like it's like, oh, but we don't know that there's more, and then
Yeah.
I don't have a cell phone, but um, this thing that people have, all this technology, it's really great because it helps us connect, but it's really
Hmm.
keeping us addicted to and not like we're too we're almost
Yeah, too
too
connected to that.
right. We're here
Yeah.
and we're not like young people have a hard time making eye contact
Yeah.
and having conversation, like picking up the phone and saying, hey,
Hmm.
like, oh, I got to call you. Yes, if you want to do business, I got to talk to you.
Yeah.
Business is
So
done through relationship.
what advice would you have for people, for women who want that life, they want that aliveness, they want that sense of flow and purpose and connection? How would you suggest they start, or what would you want to say to them?
Yeah, I would say do it. Like, Bob Proctor has a
Mm-hmm.
great expression that most people are living a leading role or a supporting role in their own life versus the
Yeah.
leading role. Like, be the
Yeah.
lead. You be
Yeah.
the director. You be the lead person. You decide what it is that you want to do. And how do you find that? I know it's like, oh, easy for her to say, no, I sell worms by the pound. Are you kidding? Easy for me. If I sold coffee, I'd have an easier time.
Yeah.
But you can't go again. So find out what you would like doing. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur. It's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but go help people. Like, what do you want to do? You want to,
Yeah.
what is it that you want to do? What kind of life do you want to live? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
there waiting for you. You just have to
Mm-hmm.
ask for it,
Yeah.
and be patient, and then put actions in place. Like, write a list.
Yeah.
What do you like doing? Do
Mm-hmm.
meditation, go with it. I know meditation's a funny, maybe it's a little bit, it's getting more mainstream, but
Mm-hmm.
and it really, the answers are all here. We
Yeah.
do know what we want,
Yeah.
but we're so busy up in our head listening to
Mm-hmm.
that friend
Mm-hmm.
that's never your friend.
Yeah. I love that, Kathy. Such great advice. And so for my listeners, if you haven't checked out episode 22, go and have a listen to that, because I actually talk about how you start to connect to that part of you inside that knows, and what that looks like. And so, Kathy, for people who would love to connect with you, can they find you anywhere? You don't have a cell phone? Do you have a website? Are you on social media? Do you like
I'm
have
all over the
words?
place. Yes,
Do
I
you
don't
like
have a cell phone, but yes, I have a website. I'm all over social media, but if you see me on Facebook, I'm at home.
Okay, okay, okay.
So my website is Cathy'sComposters.com. That's my worm one. But I would like to invite everybody to my laughter club. We didn't really talk about laughter,
Mm,
but I do have a laughter. I do laughter yoga, 30 minutes on Zoom every Tuesday at 9:30 Eastern.
okay.
And I incorporate tapping and brain gym, and it's
Oh,
just super fun. I
wow.
have people from around the world.
Wow.
About 25 people come now,
Oh,
because I'm really
wow.
good. I'm really good at that.
I could see that
Um,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, that's my second mission. I'll have to come back on your podcast to talk about that. I know we're running out of time.
Yeah. So can people find that on your website as well? Because
Oh,
I'll have that in the
yes,
show notes. Okay.
it's
Okay.
Cathy'sclub.com is the laughter page.
Okay. So for my listeners, I will include both of those in the show notes, and you can go in and check those out. And Kathy, I am so grateful for this conversation. I feel inspired. I feel uplifted. Your laughter is 100% contagious. And my teacher and mentor, Mary Morrissey, was actually the person who mentored her, mentored only three people in his life, and one of them was Wayne Dyer. So, right? I know.
Wow.
So he mentored Wayne
Whoa.
Dyer, Les Brown, and Mary Morrissey. So we're talking the same language here. We're talking the same language here.
Wow. Oh, I
Yeah.
got those bumps now.
Right? I know. All the bumps, all the bumps.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's not a mistake that you picked me. Thank you. I
No, it's
appreciate it.
not. It's all right. There are no mistakes. And so thank you, Kathy, and thank you to my listeners. And as always, know that I love you. You are amazing. You are doing so well. You've got this, and you deserve to live a life that you absolutely love.